The Last of Us Part 2. Never have I seen a game with such polarizing opinions online and outright toxicity. Abby's trans, dude. Abby's a trans. Neil Druckmann, he put himself in the game so he could sex Abby. Sadly, the game has become this massive circle jerk online, and I refuse to feed into that. So if you're expecting that sort of a video, that's not what this is. And instead, we're going to be taking a look at the game because I've never seen something so divisive where you have actual diehard fans who, months before were just slobbing on the knob of Sony and PlayStation and Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog, and then the leaks came out and suddenly they've got their pitchforks and they're at Neil's door and they're trying to fucking kill him in his sleep, and it's just this massive 180 that happened. And now even on release, people are pissed off, everyone's mad, everyone's losing their mind, saying the game's trash. Today we're taking a look at the game for the game. And that's what this video is about. We're going to be taking a look at what The Last of Us did correctly, what they did wrong, and what I think they could have and should have done differently for a better overall game. And this will be my overall take on the entirety of the game based on actual game design choices. And of course this is going to all be my opinions, but I am taking a fair look at the game in a sort of review and discussion based style. Before I start, I want to say there will be major spoilers in this video. I think the game has been out almost 2 weeks now. I sat down and I beat the thing in like 2 days. I went hard, I had time off of work. I was very serious about this game, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about wanting to talk about it. So if you have not played the game all the way through and you are wanting to, if you haven't played it yet and you're planning on doing it, add this video to your watch later tab, come back another time once you've finished and you've seen those credits roll, and then watch the video. Don't spoil it for yourself, but for those of you that either don't care, already know, or have played the game yourself, continue on with this video and let's get right into it. Now, we can't really talk about The Last of Us 2 without first reflecting on the first game. The Last of Us 1 is still hailed as a masterpiece, and although that word is thrown around too much these days, I do think it holds true. It is hailed as one of the previous generation's best games, and especially for its time, I think the game is truly incredible and it still holds up. And on top of that, you would be hard-pressed to find someone to argue with about the quality of the first game. And that's what's so interesting to me about the sequel. Whereas the first game, everyone is in agreement, maybe there's a few too many ladders and a little too much pushing Ellie around in the ocean on a fucking pallet. There's a little too much of that, but overall, it's a tried and true story, it's a good story, and I think overall everyone agrees the game is good. But now with the sequel, not so much. What made The Last of Us so great wasn't the gameplay, it wasn't killing zombies. I think we've all played a zombie game in our time, especially in 2013. I'm pretty sure the 360 and the PS3, all they really did was play zombie games, if I remember correctly. I think you'd just turn it on and it would start up COD Zombies. As far as I know, it would just, it's sort of the COD Zombies machine. So a zombie game in 2013, it didn't blow anybody's mind, and in 2020, it's still not blowing anybody's mind. But what was special and what is special about The Last of Us 1, and what it's about at its core, is the relationships. Mainly, of course, between Ellie and Joel. And that's what really made the first game shine, and what I feel is a fundamental thing that's missing from The Last of Us 2. Now, like I said, major plot spoilers here, but of course, this has a lot to do with why a large majority of the players were both angry and or disappointed in the treatment that Joel received in this sequel. One of the main things that I think falls flat in The Last of Us 2 is the pacing. For me, and I think for most reasonable players, the overall story of The Last of Us 2 is not a bad one. It's just told very poorly. Playing The Last of Us 2's story almost feels like you're trying to listen to your great-grandpa at the family reunion tell you his tale, and halfway through he goes, "Oh, did I mention? I forgot to tell you, it was raining that day, and then when we got there, oh, and did I tell you Bill was with me as well? I forgot to mention, and oh, and before we get to that, we gotta go back, and we should talk about on Tuesday before this happened. So you just get this disconnect, and there's too many flashbacks, too many resets, and we'll go more into that. But of course, if you're watching this video, you know that Joel is killed off in what's basically the introduction to the game, and not only is he killed off in what I would consider a lackluster and almost disrespectful way, I also think what should have been a major moment is weakened by the storytelling and the pacing. Of course, most players playing The Last of Us 2 have played the first game, but to really look at this game as a whole, you have to take what you're given. And all you get is this very short glance at Joel. You don't get to spend any real time with him, you don't get to do much with him before he's just killed off. You don't get to remember the good times, you don't get to hang out and reminisce. You don't even really get a good, happy moment with Joel. There's sort of this tension between him and Ellie. You don't exactly know what happened. Of course, knowing the end of the first game, you can sort of infer, but you don't get any Joel moments. You just sort of see him in the background run by, like, oh, that was Joel. That's my friend Joel from the first game? Isn't Joel supposed to be the game guy? Isn't he the guy in the game? Why is he just sort of in the background? And then he's killed off. It's just, 4 fucking Joel in one. And it's almost like this relative that you haven't seen in years, and suddenly your mom's running in your room and she's,
Uncle Larry passed away. Honey, Uncle Larry's gone.
And you're just sort of sitting there like, okay, I don't really know the guy, sucks for him, but I haven't seen him in a long time. Sucks he's dead and all, but I'm on a kill streak here, Mom, so can you get the frick out of my room? I'm building. For me, it wouldn't have felt so rude to both the character and to the player if they had given us more time with Joel. Maybe a few patrols with Ellie, build the character up again, and then kill him off to really drive the impact of it home. Instead, you're shown this character that you love and that you remember, and before you even get to know them again, they're savagely killed off by Abby. And it leaves you with this sort of, oh, okay, I saw that coming, but you could have done it in a better way kind of feeling, because I think most players expected Joel to die. It's not this huge surprise for a video game character to die. It happens all the time and is executed in a much better way. I think we all thought Joel wasn't going to make it, whether it be at the very end of the game or the middle. People knew this was a revenge story, and I think a lot of us knew Joel was going to die, but we expected better than this for Joel. And it's not that I'm sitting here being an incel gamer. How could you kill Joel with a freaking golf club? Golf is my favorite game. But it's just lackluster, like I said. There have been plenty of huge video game characters that have died. Take a look at Red Dead 1 and 2, for example. Both games, you play this massive story, much longer and with a much larger scope than The Last of Us. You span across this huge game world and this massive, long story with both John and Arthur in the second game. And John dies in the first game, Arthur dies in the second game, and it hits you. And there's not riots in the street. People aren't burning down Rockstar Games because Arthur died, because they told the story. They let you know Arthur, they let you be Arthur for so long, and when he dies, you die a little inside. Instead, when Joel dies, yeah, it's sad, but it's just like, why? It's just anger, it's not like, okay, Joel died for this reason, because of this. You start the game, Joel dies, and you're just mad. And yes, that's what they wanted. They want you to hate Abby. They want you to be right there with Ellie to say, yes, let's go on this revenge quest. Let's fucking kill Abby. She's this big ox, fucking shoulders, fucking like Minecraft Steve. We need to go and kill her. And of course that is what they wanted. And that'll bring us right on into the next section. Because they made you hate Abby. And then... And then... Oh, they made you hate her. And then they try to make you love her.
Oh my god.
Where to begin with Abby? Another character where you go online and it's just obscene. I have seen and heard some very deep thoughts on Abby as a character and what they were going for. And of course, it's obvious what they were going for. For those of you still watching, I assume it's not a spoiler, but spoiler alert. Halfway through the game, you switch to playing as Abby. Now, For me, at this swap, what I've coined as the swap, hopefully that catches on with all you gamers out there. When we reflect back on 2020 and we talk about The Last of Us 2, we can say, The Last of Us 2 is a great game until the swap, which is when you switch from Ellie to Abby. I'm coining it, so if you ever hear someone say the swap, that was me. I'm sort of a big-time YouTuber, so if you hear someone say the swap, it was my idea to do the swap. Anyways, everything after the swap, for me, was a miss. I did not enjoy it. I've heard from people who did, but the vast majority, I think, if you, first off, make us play as a character that then kills everyone's favorite character, of course, you play as Abby, she kills Joel, and then the entire point, the entire premise of the game is that Ellie goes on this revenge quest to kill Abby, and you play through Ellie's almost entire story up until right before she would kill Abby. You kill this person, that person, this person. You kill basically everybody and their dog, and you're about to kill Abby, and then you switch to Abby. And so as a player and the game design in general, you are hell-bent on killing Abby to get revenge for Joel. That's what you're there to do. That's why I bought the game. That's why I'm playing the game still. I've been doing it for about 8 hours now. I just want to kill Abby more than anything I've ever wanted in my life. Right before you're about to do it, you then have to play as Abby. And earlier in the game, you played as her for a small snow section where it's basically just running. And so you switch to Abby. The game doesn't tell you, oh, now this is the Abby section of the game. You just switch over to Abby and you think, oh, I'm going to play a little bit as Abby, and there's a flashback too, I think almost right when you start to play her, it's a flashback, so you just assume, as you did previously in the Joel flashback with Ellie, you think, oh, I'm just going to play a little flashback, sort of build Abby's character up a little bit, and then we'll go back to the game, the game that I like, where I play as Ellie, that I've been enjoying. I really liked The Last of Us for the first 10 hours. I really liked the gameplay, and I do want to say the gameplay is mwah. We're not here to talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is pristine. It is that classic Naughty Dog. You've played it in Uncharted, you played it in Last of Us, but it's better. It's better in every way in this one. There's nothing that they did not improve from The Last of Us 1 to 2. I've seen people say, even in the Moist meter, oh, it's the exact same gameplay as the first game. That is not true. I played the first game very recently, right before I played the second one, and I think people look back on the first games, gameplay-wise, with very rose-tinted glasses, because it's not that hot. I don't want to be that guy. It's not that great. Just like The Last of Us 2 right now is very, edgy and gory, and it's in the news. Just like The Last of Us 2 is in the news now, The Last of Us 1 sort of fed off that brutality, and I think we would remember some shots from the E3 trailer for the first game where Joel fucking butchers someone with a shotgun, and I remember going, holy shit, this guy's begging for his life, and Joel just blew him away. Games like that, besides maybe Doom, and GTA was so controversial, stuff like that didn't really happen in games, and that was a big part of the first game, but the actual gameplay was the run-of-the-mill Naughty Dog stuff. And the first game was riddled with these sort of mini traversal puzzles with the ladders and the pallets and the carts that you push around. And yeah, they're in this game, but you see, one ladder in this game, I think? One ladder and one plank. And it's almost feels like a callback, because it's not even a puzzle, it's just I pick up the ladder and I place the ladder on the fucking boat and I go across the thing. But in the first game, it's, ladder here, ladder there. Ellie gotta push her on the water. You gotta push the cart. And then Ellie goes over the cart. And then she opens the door. And there's so much of that in the first game. People don't really get that the reason the first game is 15 hours or 20 hours isn't because it had a 20-hour story to tell. It's because you're trying to find this fucking ladder for like 8 hours straight. And so, yes, the gameplay is a massive improvement. And, just the features that they added straight in, like the dodge, the jump, and the prone are the MVP of this game. They changed everything about the way you play. I don't remember if in Uncharted 4 you could prone. Maybe you could, but also Uncharted 4 was more just rootin' tootin', shootin', spagootin', and a lot less sneaking around in the grass. And in this game, you feel real fear. When the whistle boys start coming, when they start whistling at you, and you're in the grass, and when they're bearing down on you with their bow and arrow, or there's a dog sniffing Ellie's unwashed cooch from a mile away, and he's coming right up on you in this grass, you feel fear, and you have to react, you have to run. A lot of this game is you run, and there's not many shooters, especially first-person, third-person shooters out there, adventure games, where you fucking run. You just run through the game. Like, that's too many guys. You know, I have 4 bullets and this water bottle and, like, a fucking brick. And there's 100 guys, and they got bows and arrows and dogs and guns and Molotovs, and there's zombies at the same time. The gameplay is much better. The dodge makes the game a lot better. They sort of split the abilities between Ellie and Abby. You don't have the ability to build all your perks. There are lots of them, but you have to pick and choose. You have to play smart. And on top of that, the exploration is really good. I was very impressed with the level design. The world looks gorgeous. I mean, you can see right back here, look all this world. It looks gorgeous. The world's beautiful. I've never seen such a good looking game. It looks fabulous. No one is out there debating that, and I do want to say positive things about the game. I want to put that in. This video isn't just shit, The Last of Us is bad. It's just could have been so much better, and I think that is where most people are coming from, most reasonable people, not the loud ones that you see online. Like I said, the gameplay is great, the world design is great, the exploration is great. As a player, you want to look around, you want to check every room and open every fucking drawer, because you need ammo, you need crafting supplies, you need to find all this sort of stuff. And on top of that, the environmental storytelling is incredible, especially in the sort of beginning Ellie section of the game where you're in wide open Seattle. They sort of let you loose on this environment in Seattle where you almost get this sort of freedom to just do whatever you please. You know where you need to go, but you have so many places that you want to go, and you can do whatever you want. You can go in this building, that building, and every building has a story to tell. There's an entire missable section where you go into a music store and have one of the best moments of the whole game. And with each area, there's an environmental storytelling aspect that is told so well. You go to the bank, for example, and you see a crew of zombies that were once the bank robbers and the bank tellers, and you find these notes after you've killed all the zombies in the area that tell you this story of how they were trying to rob the bank on the outbreak day of the virus, and they thought, oh, this is the perfect time to rob the bank because everyone's fighting zombies instead. And you find their guns in the vault, and you get a new gun, and you find all this money in the vault, and Ellie asks Dina, what would you buy with all that money, Dina? And Dina says, a farmhouse. And of course, for those of you who know, at the end of the game, Dina gets a farmhouse. You know, Ellie and Dina get a farmhouse. And it's stuff like that the game is so perfectly done in these minuscule ways. Everything that you think, oh, if I go in there, this should happen. And oh, if I go in the grass and I crawl, can I go under the truck? I can. Can I squeeze through the shelf? I can. You know, if I do this and that, and it's just these tiny details. When you go to crack a safe, you don't even need the code for the safe. You can actually listen with your gamer headset cranked, and the little it'll go a little higher tick, and you can actually crack the safe without even knowing the code. And then the codes half the time, of course, they're easy, but they're fun, and it's just this little side thing where you open safes, but it says, you know, the code is the year that my dog won Employee of the Month, and you gotta find the picture of the dog that says July 2013 or whatever, and you put in 06 2013, and the safe opens. And it's just this amazing world that's full and rich. The combat is incredible, it's brutal, it's graphic, it's exactly what you want. You know, you kill somebody, you don't just kill them, you kill them so bad that everyone around fucking knows they're about to get it next, and they're shitting their pants because Ellie is this savage murdering machine who wants to kill damn near everyone. And instead what you get is you do kill everyone except for the one person that as a player you want to kill. Which brings me back to my main point. Playing as Abby is not enjoyable. I've seen some people say that they liked the Abby section, and I just can't get there. I don't understand it. For me, I can't agree. I do not enjoy playing as Abby. Everything after the swap for me was this sort of repetitive, hammered home idea of how revenge is bad, and revenge begets revenge, and, you know, we shouldn't get revenge. Revenge is bad. Ellie's bad to do revenge. Look how good this character is and this character is, and you play as Abby and all her friends. And for me, maybe I'm a little shallow, maybe I'm too single-minded, but for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's just a flat-out one-to-one. If you kill Joel, I kill you. If you kill Joel, you die. It's that simple. Joel dies, you die, and that's how it should be. And it's just that simple. I don't care if it takes 100 hours. I don't want to play as the one who killed Joel for half of the game, and the whole time you're trying to tell me that it's fine that they killed Joel, that she shouldn't be punished for what she did, that the revenge is not necessary, and they try and almost make you feel bad for it. And yeah, I'm invested in the story, but I'm not gonna cry about a dog that Ellie killed in a cutscene just because later I play fetch with the fucking thing. The whole point is that Abby killed Joel, so Ellie kills Abby. That's what I want. That's what I'm here to do. And when you pull me out of it to then force me to play as Abby for so long, and it drags so hard near the end, it's incredible. Every Abby mission feels like what should be the last Abby mission. You start to play her and you're like, okay, it's just a flashback. It'll be over and I'll go back to the game. And then it's, wait, she has manuals and perks and upgradable stuff? How long am I being Abby for exactly? And then once you're drawing in on hour 7 or 8 and all you want to do is die and you're still Abby. And I just think that the entire Abby section was a bad idea. This will bring us into the what they should have done section. Hey, I look a lot worse, and the green screen looks a lot worse, and the lighting looks a lot worse, but that's because I'm in the editing process right now, and I decided to add in a little bit because I feel like this video is too one-sided, kind of, and I don't want it to seem like I'm just kind of shitting on it. So, because everyone online is so toxic about the game, I wanted to reach out to people and see if anyone was interested in giving me sort of like an interview of their opinions. I have a couple questions primed about the game, and just to see what like the general player thinks of the game. So I know the video is super long already, but I thought it'd be interesting to get varying points of view besides just my own. So let's get into the interview section.
It's no better to be safe than sorry.
Did you finish the whole thing? How far are you in Last of Us 2? How far are you now?
I think you got the wrong number, sir. Just past first couple missions where you're... What the fuck's your name?
Abby.
Yeah, that one.
You can tell she's a good character.
I watched the full playthrough of it. I didn't feel like buying it just right away. But then as I watched some of the playthrough, I was like, I'm not paying for this. I'm not spending $60 on this.
I'm at the movie theater part, so right after you do,
As Ellie.
Yeah.
Did you play the first game?
You're fucking right, I did.
Yes. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, first game, perfectly fine the way it is. But then the second game, it's like, you know, we start out the way you probably expect it to be. Then, oh yeah, let's just kill Joel for no reason. Like, it's not like there's any sort of... I mean, I understand the whole idea that what he did at the end of the first game is going to cause people to go after him.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like he just kind of killed him for the sake of killing him.
way of doing it, yeah.
Story-wise, I prefer Last of Us 1 just because I like Ellie and Joel more playing this in the whole game. But gameplay-wise, being a newer game, they fixed a lot of stuff.
Gameplay is pretty crisp in this one. It's fun to play, but the story's kind of lacking.
Yeah.
The thing about the game is that the reason why people like the first one is the whole dynamic between Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
And then you get into the second game. Yeah, you start with that.
For like 5
That's
minutes.
fine. Yeah, for like 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're like, "Oh, let's just kill Joel. You know, we don't need him.
Yeah,
we don't need him for anything." I bet if you just didn't play as Abby whatsoever, that probably would have definitely put the game up a couple pegs.
Playing as Abby, it was the first few hours were a real big shock and I didn't know how to feel about it originally. 2 or 3 hours, I was like, okay, I fully get this character, I understand. I actually found her really, really interesting to learn about and to play as. To me, the story doesn't work either without her, because she is on the exact same arc as Ellie, except she is farther along in that arc, right? So, like, Ellie is doing the all-out revenge. She thinks that will bring her something in the end, some sort of closure, some sort of happiness. And with Abby, you see she dedicated, like, he lost everything for 4 years to become a thing to kill Joel. So it's like, it's important, like, in my mind, to have that, to show that you want Ellie to go for this thing, but it's gonna be useless on the other side. She's just gonna lose more, right? I find her integral to the game. Like, I don't think the game would have worked for me if I didn't have those hours playing as Abby. And it is a little bit long. I think both sections, I think the entire game's too long. I'm completely satisfied with it otherwise.
What did you think of playing Abby at the beginning?
It was okay because it was a new character or whatever being introduced. But when they killed off Joel, and that's the only time you could have played him was when you're playing Abby, it makes it. And said you're some girl you don't know anything.
What do you think of playing Abby?
It's a change. I don't know if it's a good change, but it's a change. When you're trying to kill her for half the game and then you start playing as her, you kind of... I don't even want to pick up anything, and I'm like, if I level her up, does that mean the last fight has to be harder?
So you've seen the end too, then?
Yeah, where like Ellie doesn't even kill her.
Nothing happens, yeah.
It doesn't even kill her. I was like, what is this game? Like, at least kill her. At least give everybody the satisfaction of killing Abby.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I feel like they could have, even if they had made it like a choice or something, I don't know.
Once you find Abby, that entire final fight, I absolutely adored. I didn't want to be playing it. I don't want Abby to die, because she is a good person. At least at that stage, she is a better person than Ellie. But then it's like, I don't want Ellie to die either. It was very like, I didn't want to be fighting. I liked that fight a lot more than the earlier Ellie-Abby fight, which I thought was a little bit over the top, but I understand what they were going for there. And then you go upstairs and you find all of Ellie's stuff all tucked into the one room, and it was so sad. That final flashback with Joel, that final little bit with Joel that kind of painted context for a whole bunch of stuff. That was fantastic. I personally loved it, but I also get why a lot of people really didn't like this game. I totally get it. Its storytelling is off. I do like weirdly told stories and odd pacing, but yeah, that's just me.
You're not that far yet, but is there anything you would change from what you've done so far?
Honestly, yeah, just the way they killed off Joel. Other than that, I think it's pretty good. The story's fine in the beginning.
You're not at the downhill slope yet, but that's good. First half's good. Yeah, don't watch my video until later.
What would you hope for the end?
It all just to be a big old dream and Joel wakes up.
If only.
If I could change anything about the game, it would just be its length. I'd say shave 2.5, 3 hours out of Ellie and Abby's solo sections. Keep the ending and the beginning the same.
It always could be worse when it comes to anything.
That is true. Well, I appreciate the insights, my guy. I'll let you go.
Sure thing.
Alright, it was nice talking to you.
Appreciate it.
There's so much about this game to talk about. I'd say it's a masterpiece, just as the first one is a masterpiece. Like, they're not perfect games, but I think for what they're setting out to accomplish, at least for me, 100% home run. Like, what they were trying to get across, I loved it. So, at least for me, I would say it's a masterpiece for me. But that's about it for me.
Telling Abby's story wasn't the mistake that I think Naughty Dog made. I think it was making the player experience it. There is a way to tell a story from both sides of the coin without me having to play it in this massive chunk as Abby and experience all of it. And I'm not going to complain about how they left a 6-second sex scene in the game that has her fucking A's in it. I don't care about that. But to me, what they should have done is tell us this story where the first half is Joel and Ellie, or at least the first good chunk. Then Joel is killed by Abby, and then we begin Ellie's tale. You know, Joel and Ellie game that people love. Joel dies tragically. Now it's the revenge quest, and we cut out all this Abby shit, and we don't need to play as her. And if you want us to sympathize with or understand why she did what she did, understand her character, because of course she had a reason to kill Joel. We know that she's a character, we know she has a life, and if you want us to see her life, there's two ways I think that would have been the correct way to go about it that don't suddenly have this huge disconnect where you split and you lose out on the game, where you're almost at the climax and you're pulled back 3 more days to the beginning of the game again, and you have to play the whole thing again as Abby. And the way it should have been done is either you play chronologically through the game, you know, like how a story is told, and instead of having all these flashbacks, you play as Ellie on Seattle Day 1, you play as Abby on Seattle Day 1, and you see where they're both at, you understand both sides of the coin. Abby's trying to do this, Ellie's trying to get Abby. And then you see Seattle Day 2, you play as Ellie, you play as Abby, and you alternate in the same story, so that when I get to the important part of the story, I'm there with both of them and I understand both characters. Instead of having, I do this whole song and dance as Ellie, I want this one thing, I want to kill Abby, and then you make me play it all again as Abby, and instead of experiencing it again, I'm sort of just having to be reminded of these things I've already done as Ellie. And if they don't want to do it in an alternating chronological order, I think that Abby's story could have easily been told in a cutscene or a few different cutscenes. You can show me the zebra story, you can explain to me who her dad is and what happened and why she wanted revenge, and you can show me the other characters and their relationships without making me play through it, as a large portion of Abby's section that actually tells the story that they're trying to tell is either a walking follow simulator with 2 characters talking, or it's already a cutscene. The parts of Abby that make it such a long section are the shooting, killing, gameplay parts that I could have done as Ellie and I would have enjoyed much more, because playing as Abby, sure, the gameplay's the exact same, and if you just put a sticky note over the screen to cover up where Abby stands and all I can see is the rest of the gameplay's the damn same, I would enjoy it. But it's just the simple act of playing as Abby that makes it unenjoyable, makes it not fun, and makes me hate it. Because how do you connect with a game? How do you enjoy playing a game as a character that you want to die? Your whole hope and dream is for that character to die, but now your entire task is to keep her alive. Playing as Ellie or playing as Joel and Ellie in the first game, you want these characters to survive, you're invested in their story, you want to see where they go and what happens to them. But with Abby, you just want her to die, and all I have to do is drop the controller, and she's dead right in front of me. But I can't do that. I have to keep surviving and keep winning as Abby, and it just goes on and on. One part that stands out more true than any is the sort of boss fight that you do as Abby against Ellie. This spot especially, I think, should have been swapped, because at this point in the game, it is your goddamn wet dream to see her get her head blown off by a shotgun, and instead, if I fail my fight against Ellie blows her brains out, and I go, that's what I want, that's perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you, I'm done, I can turn the game off now. I've accomplished my task. Ellie fucking murdered her. But of course I can't. And they make you just beat the shit out of Ellie and Dina, and they make you attack this character again that you love, and it's almost this sort of just anger bait that they're trying to do on the player to just fucking strangle the joy out of you while you play this game. Like, you love Ellie, you fucking hate Abby, but what do you have to do? You have to play as Abby and beat the shit out of Ellie, and you can't die, and if you die as Abby, which is the one thing you want, is for Abby to die, if you do that, then you fail, and you have to restart the fight, and you have to keep beating the shit out of Ellie. And it's just like they're trying to do, like I said, this Oscar bait, woke mind, woke gamer shit, where they think that pulling these movie plots where they go, the bad guy wasn't so bad after all, is, you know, gonna get them Game of the Year. And we're not that stupid. Like, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. I get what you want me to think. You want me to go, oh, I connect with Abby. I get it. I'm right there with her. But that's just not gonna happen. You kill Joel, and you should die, and that's where I will always stand with it. And I really think that that boss fight especially should have been swapped, and it would have been the perfect place to swap back to Ellie, and you could play as her. Even if you lose the fight as Ellie, I would much rather be beaten and lose as Ellie than be the one beating on Ellie. And I think anyone would agree with that. And that brings us right up to the end of the game.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna teach you how to play guitar. When your hands are bigger.
The entire damn thing is you want to kill Abby as Ellie, and Ellie wants revenge, and even when she gets her happy ending and she gets what should be peace and happiness with Dina at the very end, she still throws it all away because she still can't forgive Joel, forgive herself. She can't continue on knowing that Abby is out there and that there hasn't been some sort of repercussion for what she did. And to me, this final section of the game is the most interesting, well-made, and fun section to play of the game. And I'm talking about the sort of California Rattlers big villa section of the game. You get a new biome, you get a cool new weapon, you finally get to be Ellie again. And this section of the game is so well done and so much fun. And it was so short. It's such a small part of the game. And I can't fathom why we needed like 8-9 hours as Abby doing the same rinsed battles. And yes, there are these big set pieces with the burning village, and they're interesting, but it's like by hour 15 I know how the combat is, and then you finally switch it up at the end and it's so fresh and the area is new, and it's over so fast. And the lore behind the Rattlers, and they've got zombies on chains, and they've got slaves in this place, who of course Abby is one of them. This lore section is so well done, but I'm just sad that it was over so fast. And the way the game ends, yes, we're going to talk about the very ending of the game. Ellie finally has Abby dead to rights, and you go out after her knowing full well that you could lose everything doing this. Dina is right there telling you, do not go. I don't want you to go. You can't put your revenge above what we have, our love and our house and our family that we've now started. Everything in our life that we've built shouldn't be less important than your revenge. And Ellie consciously decides, as the player does too, we need to kill Abby, we need to get our revenge to finally rest and be at peace with what has happened. So you set out again on this revenge quest to get Abby, and you risk it all, and Ellie is fine with that. And you finally get Abby dead to rights. You do this epic the Vacuous spider fight on top of the water, and you're going to town on her. You're just finally, it feels so good, you finally get to slash away and beat her within an inch of her life. And Ellie again loses even more right there at the end, and yet she still can't do it. And this is a little more of the what they should have done section, but I honestly think they should have let you, the player, choose what happens. I know this is a narrative game, I know this is a story, but this is literally the end of the game. We could have given ourselves a split ending of, it would have been a minuscule amount of work. But I think letting the player choose would solve a massive amount of the backlash this game has received, where the players that did get the second half and it actually hit home with them and they said, okay, I like Abby and I agree with this or that and I think Abby doesn't deserve to die, can then choose to do the ending that we got. And for the players like myself, and I think the majority, who just want to see revenge for Joel, just like Ellie does, let us choose to kill or to save Abby, and let us choose to kill Abby and finally get what we set out to do. Instead, what we get is this story where the whole damn thing has been told leading up to the killing of Abby, and she just lets her go. Of course, there's a huge argument to be made that Abby, just like Ellie, has lost everyone she loves, She's been through hell. She's been in this slavery camp where people would rather die than stay there. And she looks worse than ever. Of course, she's had a rough go, but she's still alive. And as a player, it leaves me hollow at the end of the game. I want her dead, and I don't even get the choice to do it. And Ellie, for me, it just doesn't make sense with the character. She set out to do this, to lose potentially everything, and then she changes her mind right at the very end. And she's perfectly fine with killing all these people who didn't even kill Joel, but they were just in the room. But the one who actually did the deed, she lets her go. And yeah, the story of the game, like I said, is a good one, but it's told in such a strange way. Ellie returns home having lost her wife, her father figure, her uncle, her damn fingers, her child, and her own home. Everything she had, she lost, including nearly losing her life in this camp just to get to Abby, just to kill her, and she doesn't do it. She doesn't do it, and it's the end of the game, you know? They finally at least give us a little closure with Joel, and that is something that I am truly grateful for. It almost had me a little worked up, but as a player, yeah, you get a little look at they did make up, they did start to try and mend their relationship, they were on good terms before Joel was murdered, but of course she never got to say goodbye, and she never got to truly mend that relationship, and now she didn't even get revenge, and neither do you as a player, and I think a lot of things could have been differently. And just to quickly sum it all up, I know this is a long video, there should have been a longer Joel and Ellie section, then Joel's death, then a long Ellie section where you either chronologically switch between Ellie and Abby in a normal storytelling fashion instead of this huge disconnected flashback, or you tell Abby's story in cutscenes while playing through the game as Ellie, and when bringing us finally to the end, and when finally bringing us through to the end, you let us choose as a player whether or not to get revenge on Abby or not, because really this story is one that is being told, and if so many people are so passionately angry about the choice, why not just let us choose for ourselves what happens? Because, yeah, I strongly think that the first half, Ellie's half of the game, is a masterpiece. It's a great game. I think it's a 10. But I think everything after the swap is more around like a 4. I just couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't invest in it. And at that point, you're just rinse and repeating the gameplay. There is an extremely well done boss, and it's a lot of fun to fight as Abby, and I would have enjoyed doing it a lot more if I wasn't Abby. And so, you know, overall the game for me is a good 7, 7.5. It's just the storytelling was weak, and it was some very strange choices along the way with a hollow ending. How bad can a game really be if people are so passionate about it? I finished the game over a week ago, and every day since, it's all I've really been able to think about. I'm so attached to the story of those characters and the experiences that I got to feel and play through myself that obviously I enjoyed the game, and it was well done, and it was a good experience to play. There's so much hate surrounding the game online that I truly think you just have to play it yourself, or at least watch the whole story for yourself, instead of going online and bandwagoning like everyone does now, where, oh, The Last of Us 2 is out? What do you think about The Last of Us 2? Let me quickly hop on Reddit or Twitter or YouTube, and I'll go see what someone else thinks first, and then I'll tell you what I think. Because I can't form an opinion on my own without watching someone else's. Just like you've now watched this video of me talking about the game for far too long. I hope that some of this has made sense, and maybe you agree with what I've said, and maybe you disagree. And it's okay to disagree with what I think. Just like I put earlier interviews with some of my friends about what they experienced and what they felt and what they thought of the game. And not all of them agree with what I think. But this is just how it hit me as a player and how I sort of think it felt for a lot of players out there and what they could have and should have done differently in The Last of Us 2. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's been so long. I know it's a long video. It's like a feature-length film. But like I said, was really passionate about the game, and I'm currently on my second playthrough of the game, which does not happen with me. Usually I can't even finish a game because I'll play it for a couple days and then I'll sink back into whatever I was playing before, like a multiplayer game with my friends, and I just won't finish the game. There's so many games I haven't finished, but now with this one that I say I didn't really like, I'm on my second playthrough on New Game Plus, trying to get the platinum, trying to collect all the collectibles. So obviously I like the game. Obviously I enjoyed the game, and this video isn't about whether the game's good or bad. The game is good. I just think it could have been so much better. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it so much. Check out the channel, check out the Discord. I would really appreciate it if you guys went into the Discord, came to say hello. I do try and interact with a lot of you guys in there a lot of the time. I take suggestions for games, all kinds of stuff like that. But this video has been a huge project that I have never really tried something like this before. Of course the green screen looks terrible. I know, we're working on a very small budget here, but I wanted to make something that truly showed how much I care about the game, and that I'm not just hopping on that hate train, that I do have opinions that I want to share about the game, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video and some of these insights of mine. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.